Without further ado, we're going to switch over and switch gears to our first guest of the evening. We're going to bring on Suzy. Survivor Suzy is in the house. How are you doing, Suzy?
I'm good, and thank you for having me tonight. And hugs
Absolutely.
to you and your family in memory of your mom
Oh,
today.
thank you so much, Suzy. Thank you. And you're a fellow drummer, too.
I am.
It's
I am. I'm a
amazing.
drummer.
That's killer. I wanted to ask you before we get into your breast cancer journey, tell us a little bit about how you got into drumming.
Well, my daughters were drummers, and my friend, right before COVID in November, invited me to go to a School of Rock adult showcase. And I was never a drummer, never played any instrument. We went down there. I saw this girl, my friend Erin, behind the kit, and it looked pretty easy. So I started my band, and then COVID hit. And we played on, we're boaters, and we just played around the boat dock, and we were horrible, but we got a following, and people listened to us because there was no other live music. So we just got a little better and got more of a following. And thanks to everybody who follows us. And that's how I became a drummer 4.5 years ago.
I like how you said, I saw a drummer and I thought, well, that looks easy.
It looked easy. So I
Thanks.
figured, that's how you know a good drummer. They make it look easy. So
That's
that's
true.
how I started the band right before COVID
That's
on the boat
awesome.
docks. Yeah.
That's killer. Oddly, so many good things came out of COVID like that. Like this show
Yeah.
started during COVID, actually. So it's kind
Oh,
of crazy. Yeah. I mean, we had
yeah.
time, right?
We had
We
lots of
had the
time. Yeah.
time. So
Yeah.
how often are you playing and what's the name of your band?
My band's name, the Lake Rats. I'm wearing one of my shirts right now, and we gig. This is our Christmas season is March through September, so we gig about 6 to 8 times a month, and then from October till February, maybe like 2 to 4 times.
That's
So we
so
play all
awesome.
around Lake Louisville, Lake Grapevine, like some other lakes, mainly outside at boat docks and restaurants on the lake. But then we also play inside also. Where it's
That's,
air conditioned. We like the air conditioning, but we're
yeah.
used to the heat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Play a lot in the heat. Yeah.
And so are you guys playing like rock music or what's the style?
We play a variety. The people who follow us are anywhere from their 20s, and my dad just turned 90 last month. So we play a variety of 60s to current and a few country songs. We're not a country band, but we play about 4 or 5 country songs. And I sing like four or five of our songs too while drumming.
That's
So
so awesome.
yeah.
And did you teach yourself how to play drums?
No, School of Rock. I owe everything to School of Rock. If you're an adult, they have adult bands there. I don't work for them, but they're fantastic. They'll give you lessons and they'll put you in a band and you
That's
learn
so awesome.
exactly everything. And they're very knowledgeable
That's
too.
so
Yeah.
cool. I mean, they
It's
just
a
like
lot of fun.
kickstarted you on a career in music and playing so frequently. That's pretty awesome.
Who knew? Who knew I would do this? Nobody knew I would do this.
That's
So
so awesome.
yeah.
Well, we wanted to have you on not just because you're a drummer, but obviously because you're a breast cancer survivor as well, and really wanted to dig into your story. And I know, we've talked offline a little bit about your story and how we both kind of feel like, I guess I would say we got off easy,
Right.
compared to some others. But like I've talked to you about, every story is very important, and it sheds light on this cause and bringing awareness, and every story is unique, and somebody out there may hear your story and it might trigger something for them and help them. So I'm anxious to hear how it all started. So, first of all, you were diagnosed how long ago?
8 years. I'm 8 years cancer free. Yay.
Very cool. Very
Right.
cool. And tell us the steps leading up to finding that you had breast cancer.
So I just went in for my yearly mammogram. My grandmother had breast cancer on my dad's side, also cancer like in the 70s, cancer all over her body. So I knew I was a higher risk than other people, but I just went in for my normal mammogram and they said, oh, you can get a 3D mammogram. And I'm like, okay. And they said it's $100 more. And I'm like, okay. And they said, well, you have to come back in 3 weeks. I'm like, "Ugh, I'm fine. Let's just do it now." So they did it, and I had my mammogram, and the doctor came back, and she said, "Oh, I think we found something, but it's probably nothing. You need to have a biopsy." And I said, "Okay." And that's a weird experience. So did that, and she said, "We found something. It's probably nothing." And then she called me back, and she's like, "Well, you have breast cancer." And I was just shocked because that's not something. like your story, you're just not really thinking that can happen to you, and it does.
Yeah,
So
right.
that's pretty much how I found out. The thing is though, about 2 months or about a month prior to that, I hurt my back. I injured my back, and it just got worse and worse. And I had two back surgeries, had a PICC line, I had to go to infectious disease. All the while knew I had breast cancer. So once, like 6 weeks after my back surgeries and the infection that I had cleared up, then I could, have my surgery.
And
So
what caused that infection? Was it separate or was it
I
from the
had
PIC line? Okay.
I had back surgery, and 2 weeks post-op, I was walking with my little walker, and I
Oh
popped my
gosh.
stitches open.
Oh gosh. Gosh.
And then
Ah.
infection set in, and then the PICC line, which is a whole nother story. And yeah,
What was
so
the treatment like to resolve the infection? Was it painful?
uh, no, nothing really hurt. It's just I had a PICC line, which is like an IV. I don't know if you can see my arm. They put an IV right here in your arm, which goes down to your heart. And I had to give myself an IV at home for like 6 weeks. And they forget to tell you, you have to clean the line before and after your medicine. They forget to tell you if you mess up, it could kill you because
This is
the thing is
important.
right
What
by
is
your heart.
happening? Come on, people.
So they didn't
Seriously.
tell me that. And yeah, that was very, very stressful for me. But we got
S-
through it.
So
And then
how did you find out that that was a rule? Like,
they told me afterwards.
oh my
So
gosh. Oh my
I
gosh.
didn't go to medical school. I don't like blood or anything like that. And
Yeah.
I tried to get them. I said, "Can you just give me my IV medicine every day?" And they said, "No, my insurance doesn't cover it." And I'm like, "I will pay extra. Just I don't want to do this. It really stresses me out." And they're like, "No, you can do it." And I did it. And it's for those of you who have had a PICC line, it's the worst. It's just it's scary to have to do it yourself. If the little drip in your bag goes too fast, that can hurt you. I mean, it's a lot. It was a lot for me. I'm just
Wow.
not a medical
And
person.
and
So,
s-
but we got through it.
and sorry,
Yeah.
I'm like latching on to things as you're
Mhm.
going. So was the PIC line did you get that for your breast cancer,
No.
or
I
that
that
was
was
for
just to
your
clear up
back
my
and the
infection in my back.
infection? Got it.
Once
I'm
that got
back.
cleared,
Uh-huh.
yeah, then once that, which was like 4 months, then they gave me the option to either have a lumpectomy or a mastectomy. Those were my two choices, and radiation.
Okay,
So,
so before we get to that, tell me
sure.
for just a second, because when you got that call and you got diagnosed, were you at home? Were you alone?
I don't remember that part because I was dealing more with my back,
Yeah.
but I did. I think they called me into the office, and my doctor is fantastic. All my medical doctors with my breast cancer journey were great, and a few of my friends have gone to them since then. But I do remember she did call me in her office, and she gave me a teddy bear, which I thought was hilarious. But she
That's
gave me a
funny.
breast cancer teddy bear, I guess.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what I did with it, but she did tell me, and she told me, my choices, and I had two choices, and I feel good about the one I chose with the choice I had with my cancer.
And so you chose to have a lumpectomy, correct?
I chose because my cancer was not near a chest wall. Had my cancer been near a chest wall, which I guess is, with there's, just your chest right here or
Right.
underneath,
Uh-huh.
then I would have probably chosen a mastectomy. But since it wasn't, I wanted to go, I just had two major back surgeries. That was the least thing I wanted was another surgery. So I chose to have a lumpectomy.
Yeah, I mean, for those that don't know, a mastectomy is a major surgery. It's no
It's a
joke.
major,
Yeah, yeah.
major
And
surgery.
having just come off that back surgery, who could blame you for
I
that?
just didn't, I just wanted the fastest, easiest way to get it out.
Right, right. And
Cancer.
I
Right.
was I was telling somebody recently that it's like once you are diagnosed with cancer, you want it out as soon as possible.
Right.
You just don't like having it in there. So tell us a little bit about the lumpectomy. Was that just like a day surgery? Did you stay overnight?
It was a day surgery. I went in, and we did not know that from my back surgery, one of the things that caused the infection to get so bad, apparently I'm allergic to glue, and I did not know that. So when I had my lumpectomy, They took out 19 millimeters, which they said is a lot. I have no idea. And they glued me instead of giving me stitches. So this horrible rash that I had on my back from when they glued me, I also got it on my chest. And and that's when I found out I'm allergic to glue.
So is
So
that's a special type of glue, or it have some
it's
compound that's in every kind of glue?
It's the same kind of glue, I think, that when people get their nails done, like Next Gen, the
Uh,
first layer they put on your nails is glue. So I'm allergic to that glue. It's called something. I think it starts with an E. Um, so for y'all getting surgery, just make sure you're not allergic to glue because it's a horrible rash you get on you. And I
well,
remember
yeah.
going in after my lumpectomy and the doctor had to like take tweezers and pull the glue off me, which
Ah.
was painful enough on a scar. So y'all make sure you're not allergic to glue before you have surgeries.
Well, and
That's my
it's like
word
you,
of advice.
how do you know till you know, right? I mean, like,
You
that's
don't know.
so
Right.
random. Like, it's like you probably were a kid and played with Elmer's glue all the time and
We
nothing
all
happened.
did. You're right.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing happened, but now I'm
It's
allergic to
yeah,
glue.
it definitely,
So,
if you ever know of an allergy that you have, definitely share that with your doctor regardless of what it is. I
right.
mean, it could be anything, and
Right.
that is a thing that can happen, with a lot of the chemo drugs and whatnot. There can be allergies, and so I had never heard of that with glue before. That is crazy. I'm so glad
Right.
you're okay and it wasn't like
I'm fine.
sending you
Yeah.
into anaphylactic shock or anything crazy like
No,
that.
I just
Yeah.
had a horrible rash, but
Yeah.
I'm fine. And now
Yeah.
we know.
Yeah.
So I had the lumpectomy, and like I said, they took out 19 millimeters. No lymph nodes were taken out of my arm, because I know that is a thing with some people who have breast surgeries, cancer surgeries. And then I went to radiation. So I had 6 weeks of radiation. I found a song that I love to listen to on the way that I would blast it every day. I remember sitting in the radiation office the first day just bawling that I didn't want to go. But I did it because you have to. It was important to me. I'm kind of modest and I wanted to find a female um, radiation doctor. I don't know what they're called, but a radiation doctor. Could not find any near my house because you go every day for 6 weeks, not on the week. Well, I did. And you know, you don't want to be driving all day just for 45 minutes to an hour of radiation. So I couldn't find one. I went to Baylor near my house and they were great. Um, didn't have a female doctor though, but and that I did that. I did that for 6 weeks.
Yeah, and I know we had talked about this a little bit, and if you're
Right.
comfortable talking about it, I think
Sure.
it's important to share because, it's an aspect of going through breast cancer treatment that a lot of people may not think about is if you're a modest person, you're just sort of having to show it all the
You show it
time.
all.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
People said to me, "You've had 3 kids. How are you modest?" And I'm modest. The thing with radiation, I don't know how much you can see of me, but you lay there and they mark you. I read in these Facebook pages that they mark you with a marker. Usually they take like a Sharpie marker and mark you. And I have 4 markings because you lay down like this. I don't know if you can see, but you lay down like this and this big machine just kind of goes over you. Nothing hurts. It's just you have to lay still for, I think it was like 45 minutes, 30, 45 minutes. And they didn't tell me that they were going to tattoo me, and which would have been fine. But, some people don't want tattoos on their bodies. But they didn't tell me. I thought they were just going to mark me because what happens, I guess they line up the coordinates of the radiation to your markers. And they tattooed me, and it hurts so bad. I do not understand how people get their ribs tattooed because I have 4 teeny tiny dots, 3 on my ribs and 1 lower, and it is the most pain I've been in my life. And I have tattoos, and
Yeah,
it was very
that's
painful.
like I had a tattoo on my ankle, like right on the bone of my ankle, and that was like a dumb idea. So yeah, I can't imagine choosing somewhere like that would be painful. That sounds
You know,
awful.
they should tell you, and they didn't tell me. So they were
Well,
like, "Oh, I thought you knew," and I'm like, "No." So, but yeah, so now I have 4 extra tattoos, so I have 6 total now. But yeah,
well, I mean, I think it's interesting because I do think some people in the medical field, they just get so used to their everyday that sometimes do forget points like that. Like, for
I do.
example, I got, like little, God, now I can't remember what they're called, like titanium markers that they leave in you. I'm calling
I
them
have
mark.
what? Yeah,
Yeah, and
I have
so
a marker.
yeah, so they left those in when they biopsied several lymph
Right.
nodes when I had my surgery, but they never told me they were doing that. And it
Right.
wasn't until I broke a rib because it was on my right side.
Hmm.
I broke a rib up here, and I had an X-ray done, and they're like, "Well, here's your titanium markers." And I was like, "What? What are you talking about? I didn't know those were
Right.
there." And
Yeah,
you
I
know,
have.
I think
Yeah, sure.
they just are so used to doing it that it's like, there's this big pile of information of like 100 things, and they'll 25 will fall off, and they, you know what I mean? It's like, and they don't even
Right.
really realize it because they told this other, patient about it, but maybe they thought they told you. You know what I mean? It's like,
They don't
it kind
tell
of
you,
sucks. It needs to be like on
and
a
one of
piece of paper. Like there needs to be like a sheet that they hand you or something.
right, right,
Seriously.
and and something else that was horrible for me that they line. I don't know other people going through radiation, but they lined me up with a bunch of men and women, and you have to put on your hospital gown, and you're sitting there, just in chairs waiting, and mine was breast radiation. So, I'm sitting in my little gown like this, because you can't wear a bra or anything. And they're just lining you up with men. And a lot of times I would go in there and say, can I wait just with women? Because I'm uncomfortable, wearing this little gown without a bra on around these men. And they probably thought I was crazy. It's just because I'm more of a modest person. I didn't want to have to do that. And then something else that I just found humiliating that I'm sure everybody has to go through is after radiation, the doctor has to look at you to make sure you're burning the correct way. You're not burning too much or whatever. And this is why I wanted a female doctor, because I'm just more comfortable if I'm not going to be dressed with a female doctor, because they kind of know more what you're going through. But you have to sit there like this, and the doctor is right in front of your face looking at you, touching you, and I just almost died every single time. And I know for a lot of people that's not a big deal, but for me that was a huge deal,
Did it
you know.
did it give you, like, anxiety, a little anxiety, or was it
I don't
just
know if it's just humiliation. He was very
Yeah.
professional. I mean,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
actually died during my treatment,
Oh gosh!
the same way my late husband
Oh
died.
my gosh.
I was widowed, I think I told you, almost 18 years ago, but he actually died from the same thing. So then I had to have another doctor. But he was very professional, a wonderful doctor. It's just for me, I'm more comfortable if I have to be undressed around a female doctor. I'm just more comfortable. Not everybody's like that, but that's just how I am.
Yeah.
So if
That's
you're
a
like me, try to find a female doctor if you're
Exactly,
like me.
exactly, and,
If you don't care, perfect.
yeah, definitely, like, I think you did the right thing. I'm glad that you felt comfortable speaking up, and I think that if anybody has, those moments where they feel uncomfortable at a doctor's office, whether it's for having to do with breast cancer or anything, you should definitely speak
Right,
up and, because it's your
right,
body, you get to decide what you
right,
wanna do, and, if you're more comfortable with a female doctor, if you could find one, that's always good, and
right.
that can make you more comfortable. So you
And like
had
I said, he
Go
was
ahead.
very professional. It was
Yeah,
it was just me who was not comfortable,
yeah,
but
I
he was very
gotcha.
professional.
Yep, I
Then he
understand.
died.
So
Right.
you had the lumpectomy, you had the radiation, and how often were you doing the radiation again?
Every day for 6 weeks, not on the
Wow.
weekends, like 5 days a week.
Right, right, right. And I know we talked about it earlier, but did you experience anything that kind of felt like a sunburn from that? Or you mentioned like you had a towel and like explain that. That was
Yeah.
crazy.
For me, I know everybody's different. I know some people get really tired after radiation. Different people have different reactions. Mine just felt like a slight sun. I mean, it looked red, like a bad sunburn. It just felt like a slight sunburn. The gross thing was in the shower, because you could shower normally. I would dry off, and there were parts of my skin on the towel, like like a sunburn, like how it blisters and then skin, but mine never blistered, and it was just kind of gross, to shower and there's half your skin. But I just tried to stay positive through the whole thing, and you just have to get through it. and
Yeah.
once you ring that bell, you are just a happier person that you never have to do that again, hopefully.
Yeah, yep, exactly. And so
Yeah.
after you finished your treatment, how often were you going in for follow-ups after that?
So with my doctor, who Dr. Ganaraj, and I know a lot of people go to her, she's fantastic. And Dr. I can't think of her name, Jacket, Dr. Jacket, she's fantastic. I actually go to see my breast surgeon and my breast surgeon only works with people who have had cancer. So I had to go every 6 months for a mammogram, sonogram, and my breast surgeon every 6 months for 5 years. And now I go once a year. And I still have to see my breast surgeon every year
And
for
it
the rest of my life, as she
Oh,
said.
really? Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay. I wondered about that. I know it's different for different types of breast cancer and whatnot, and I just wondered
right.
how often you would have to go because I was let go after 7 years. They told me at that point, they said after 8 years being cancer free or triple negative
Mhm.
anyway, you're just as likely to get cancer again as if you'd never had it. So I thought that
Never
was
had it.
interesting. Speaking of which, you mentioned this earlier. I meant to ask you. You said there's a lot of cancer in your family, right?
But
Did
just on my dad's mom's side, yes.
Okay, that
Well, some of my cousins too, on my dad's side, they've had breast cancer.
gotcha.
One of my cousins had it just how I did it. My other cousin, she had stage 2 or 3, and she had chemo. I think she had a lumpectomy. I'm not really sure, but she wore a chemo hat. I didn't even know this was a thing. It's a hat, and it freezes your head, so you
Yeah, it's
don't
a
lose a lot of
called
your hair.
called a cold cap.
Cold cap,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
It's
yeah. I
it's
just had radiation though.
yeah, it actually it's kind of like, do you remember when that guy that football player had a heart attack on the field um
Yes.
last year or the year before? Uh, Maybe it wasn't that, but some now I said that I'm like, gosh, I think I'm wrong. But whenever a football player has an injury like to their back or anything like that, they
Mhm.
put cold on it as soon as possible and they like try to freeze it and it's supposed to, I mean, it just can do miracles when you do that.
Right.
Anyways,
Right.
it's sort of the same. I don't know if it's the same kind of thing, but somehow free, like making your head cold makes it where it doesn't kill the cells that produce hair. And they do
Mhm.
it also, they do things with your hands, having your hands and your feet in ice a lot of times too when you
Uh,
go through chemo
oh,
so that you
yeah.
can prevent neuropathy. So
Oh,
it's
right.
somehow stunting all of those things. And gosh, Susie, I got to tell you, man, none of that sounds like fun. I hate cold. I don't know how you are. I mean,
I
shoot,
hate it.
you
Right.
play lakes and you play outside all the time and you like
We're
melt. So I'm assuming you
dripping
hate cold.
sweating. Right.
Yeah, yeah. So you're like me. I hate the cold and I would not be able to handle that. Like cold to me is like physically painful. And
Yeah, I agree.
I'll just rather lose my hair, but those people who can endure it, more power to you.
Good
I
for
couldn't
them.
have done it yet. And it makes a lot of sense to do your hands and your feet cuz preventing neuropathy, that's a big deal. You want to prevent that if you can. These things weren't around or hadn't come up when I was doing treatment. So
Mhm.
it's good to know that they're coming up with other things. Okay, so back to your family. Sorry, I'm like all over the place, but you're
That's
making
okay.
me think of stuff. It's so cool. So we're talking about your family, and I was curious. Did you ever do genetic testing?
Yeah, yes, I had a BRCA test and it was negative.
Okay.
That's the only do you mean in any other testing
Yeah, they have.
or
Well, I was going to tell you is probably because you said you're 8 years cancer free. I'm 14 years
Yay.
in November. Yes, you rock,
Mhm.
dude. It's a really
Yay.
good marker. But uh, they come up with new genes that they find that relate back to breast cancer every few years. So it's good to continue to go back if you can. The first time I got tested for like four. I did the BRCA 1 and 2,
Mhm.
and then a couple of others. A few years later, I went back. I got tested for 17 different genes. A few
Wow.
years later, I went back. I got tested for 35 different genes. So it's a really
Wow.
good thing to learn, especially if you have kids, to know if you
Mhm.
have one of these genes that relate back to breast cancer. Because what they've done is they've figured it out that with certain genes, they've been able to tie them to certain types of cancer. So like they'll have this one gene, and they'll be like, okay, this is a high risk for this type of breast or this breast cancer, prostate cancer, uterine cancer, cervical, whatever it is, and they have percentages of risk associated for each of those types of cancer with that particular gene. So it's a
Oh, wow.
very great informative thing that can help, you be able to stay on top of any type of cancers that might come up. So anyway, I've been like preaching this word for a while because I talked to so many people this weekend at the Music City Drum
Mhm.
Show who have cancer in their family. And I just realized that it doesn't seem like it's very well known to go and get these genetic testing done as frequently, every few years to talk to your doctor about it.
Yeah.
And also, if insurance doesn't cover it, it's a lot more affordable now, too. As I understand it,
Mhm.
it's about $250 out of pocket if you don't have insurance that can cover it. So it's not
Yeah.
completely out of reach. So anyway, I'm kind of spreading that word. And if you talk to anybody who has the same kind of situation, let them know as well. And if you decide you want to do it and you need any help, please reach out. And I know I can get you connected to where you can go and have that done. But that's something I think we should all stay on top of. Okay, boy, girl, it's 8:04 and we started at like 7:35 or 7:36. So I got us in that 30-minute window of time and we covered a lot of ground. 8 years cancer free, lumpectomy,
Yay.
radiation, and you're doing great drumming with the
And
lake
double negative.
double
Remember we talked
negative.
about
Yeah,
double
yeah.
negative cancer.
Yep. Crazy. And
Yeah. So thank you for having me.
yeah, yeah.
And thank you for all my friends that are watching
You do
and
have a
family.
lot of friends watching. I was noticing that. And it's the lake rats, right?
Lake rats.
Awesome. Lake rats. Go check them out at a lake near you.
Yes.
Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
joining tonight. And I look forward to talking to you more soon, Susie. Take care, okay?
Thanks, April. And y'all buy her book.
Oh,
Get her
you're
book.
so sweet. Thank you so much. That was
All
not a
right.
plant, man. That's awesome. I didn't even pay her to do that, y'all. That's amazing. Thank you, Susie. You have
All
a wonderful
right.
evening, okay? Thanks for sharing
All
your
right.
story. See ya.
Bye, guys.
Bye. All right, everybody, give it up for Susie, Rockstar in the house, man, joining the broadcast this evening. And